welcome on in. It is game day. We are excited to be here in Houston, getting set to see if Washington can get above 500 for the first time since 2018, minus a 1-0 start. Bram Weinstein is here with me as well. We're at NRG Stadium in Houston for the 5-5 Commanders against the 1-7 Texans. We're coming to you live for the next 2 hours from the sidelines right here. We're going to be showing you the team getting warmed up for this one. A lot of talk coming into the game as well as how does Washington avoid the high that they had, Bram, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles and defeating them, ruining their perfect season, and going up against a team that has just won. But Houston is not a team you can look past. Trap game is something we've been throwing around all week long. Do you think this could be that for Washington?
I don't. I think that message was sent early by Ron Rivera. First thing he said out of the gate was, you have not arrived. You are 5-5. Act like you've been there before. There was some fallout a little bit of the celebration that occurred, and I think he just wants to steady them and tell them, hey, look, this is a 5-5 team. There's a lot in front of you, but you haven't arrived here yet. And I asked him, actually later in the week, I said, what did you mean by that? And he said, I want to keep everybody's head calm. Don't look at the record of this other team. Mm-hmm. Like some people are, Jack Del Rio said this, we're the team that's being disrespected. People are overlooking us, and look what happens when we get motivated this way. Don't do it that way. And I asked Ron Rivera, what does arrived look like? And he said, it's when everybody knows what they're doing, when we're all on the same page, we've got the type of momentum, and he goes, it's worth 7 points when we get off the bus. And he doesn't feel like they're there yet, but maybe they're trending that way.
They have not been, especially the way that they started the season. But at one point, after starting 1-4, they did turn the corner. We're glad to have you again here with us. This is Command Center Game Day Live on the Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and broadcasting live on Big 100 Radio NDC and across the Washington Commanders network. So what we were able to see on what Washington did Monday night, they held the ball for over 40 minutes, rushing 49 times for 152 yards, while the defense harassed Jalen Hurts and company all night. They had 4 turnovers. This was a team, the Eagles only had 3 throughout the entire season, and Washington managed to take it away 4 times in the game. And because of that, they're back at 500. What did you like from that game that you want to see carry over today?
I mean, they were consistent. The funny part about the 49 rush attempts were the per rush average was actually very average and pedestrian, just over 3 yards a carry. And they'll tell you some of them were first and goals from the 1 and stuff like that.
They were.
But if you really rewatch and see it, there really was just a commitment to it. They had decided this was their best path forward, and it worked for them. And it is something that hopefully will carry over here because they go from facing a top 5 defense to the worst rush defense in the league, giving up 180 yards per game. I think it's consistency. I think, what I found really interesting last week, Ron Rivera told you, he told me, he told London, all the coaches told us, they were screaming from the rooftops, this is what we're going to do. Rarely do the coaches do something like that where they're like, we don't care if the other team knows that we're going to do this. And then they went out and did it, executed it, got a lead, had Philly down. You mentioned the turnovers. I thought that was a really big deal that happened. This team is actually like +5 in turnover margin over the last 4 weeks. That would be like top 5 in the NFL right now.
It's second best in the NFL.
Yes.
Where they did start the season second worst in the NFL in takeaways.
Yeah,
so.
Time of possession was really good last week. They're number 1 in the NFL in time of possession, so they're controlling the ball, controlling the clock. They're managing. They know they have vulnerabilities, but they're managing their way through all of this. And obviously that is a marquee win. And in my opinion, best win under Ron Rivera in his 2.5 years here.
I don't think anybody would argue against that. And look, you also had the game where the Steelers were 11-0 and Washington won that, ruined that season, being undefeated for them as well. The only one really celebrating outside of Washington with that would be the 72 Dolphins. They continue to cheers to Washington for ruining teams that are trying to go undefeated on the season. So we have Houston here. They've dropped 4 straight games, including their last two NFC East rivals, the Eagles and the Giants. Their lone win this season, just 1 win, but mind you, they've been in almost every single game, very tightly contested, was in Week 5 over Jacksonville, and they ended in a 20-20 tie with the Colts back in Week 1. Yep. What's been the biggest challenge for Houston?
I think they're a young team. I mean, they played 8 rookies a couple of weeks ago. I mean, so they're revamping their rosters. It's a very different team for them. Young quarterback, inexperienced quarterback, but had a career high last week, 319 yards passing. Just couldn't kind of finish off drives. They got into the red zone 6 times against the Giants, came away with 1 touchdown. That's why they lost. 6 of their 9 games, 1-score games. So they're very competitive. And I think it's another thing, goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Ron Rivera's going, I worked for Lovie Smith. I know who this guy is. They are going to be a buttoned-up professional operation. And, yeah, they are lacking some talent on the field, but don't take them for granted. Like, they're going to come to play. They will come motivated. And they think they could win because they've been in every game that they have played. Clearly the big issue for Washington's defense is going to be stopping their run game. Dameon Pierce, this rookie out of Florida, has been outstanding as a fourth-round pick, has broken the most tackles of any running back in the NFL. He's top 5 in rush yardage. He's going to have well over 1,000 yards rushing. If they could slow that down, and they did against the Eagles last week, if they could slow that down, Washington's defense should have a pretty good day.
Philadelphia has rushed for over 100 yards in every game this season, -2, and both of those coming against Washington. Washington is pretty stout against the run, so we'll see if Dameon Pierce has how much luck he can basically have on the ground, knowing that Washington seems to have figured out how to be able to stop the run. Unfortunately, Chase Young will not be out there to try to help them once again. He is still working his way back from injury, will not be out there, not activated, despite he was practicing. Cole Holcomb is out once again with a foot injury. J.D. McKissick actually placed on IR, likely ending his season early on with a neck injury for a second straight year. Tight end Armani Rogers also placed on IR with a knee and ankle injury. So it's been a tough year for the Commanders so far in the tight end room with injuries, just really starting way back into training camp. But the good thing is Logan Thomas was back last week, and he looks really good and healthy. But that is, and then for the Texans, the biggest loss for them is defensive back Derek Stingley Jr., the 3rd overall pick in last spring's NFL draft. He's been their top corner, been dealing with a hamstring injury. So maybe it's a good day for Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson with their top corner out. The injury report is presented by Optima Health Plan, a health plan you can count on. Up next, we talked with Robert Smith a few weeks ago in Minnesota or in Indianapolis. He's calling the game again today for Fox, and the former Pro Bowler joins me here in the sidelines at NRG Stadium. You are watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders football. Time now for your player profile, brought to you by Pepsi, official soft drink of the Washington Commanders.
I'm mic'd up tonight. So make sure you give me nothing but compliments, like over the top tonight. We're in the Northeast in November, gonna be a little chilly. Hey, how we doing?
Another boy.
Congrats, dude. Congrats, man. I don't know where the mic is. One of those is gonna be loud. Philly probably thinks I'm doing the Macarena. I got a little bit of congestion. I apologize for the loogies. Oh, yeah. I wonder if I grunt when I punt. That one was mid-sentence. That doesn't count. Hopefully I don't grunt. It's supposed to be like a nice little ball swing.
Shout out Hang Time. That's this week's episode coming out.
All game, man. It's going to be watching all game. The camera. I mean, the camera's always on, but like now it's on us. Pressure. Pressure. It's going to be electric, dude. There's nothing better than winning at Philly.
Good pooch punt.
That was pretty good.
It's fourth down, seconds on the clock. He hands it off, finds a hole in the middle. Clear, nothing but Brian moves! Incredible! A touchdown for the win. I can't believe it!
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer?
after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
To build the all-new Honda CR-V Hybrid, we took everything you love about the CR-V and kicked it up a notch with excellent fuel efficiency and greater power for a CR-V unlike any before. Adventure confidently with the most fuel-efficient full-line automaker in America, the all-new CR-V and CR-V Hybrid, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Well, my baby does gives me special love. It's the kind of stuff.
Honey, it's your turn.
I'm on cloud 9.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
An honor to have with me once again Robert Smith, one of the best running backs in his 8 years in the NFL, all with the Vikings. That's why I was saying Minnesota earlier, although we talked with you.
In Indy.
In Indy, but of course your career being with Minnesota. You're on the call again today, so you've had a chance to kind of see Washington already in action and how that one went down for Washington there. Being a running back, and you see way Washington has kind of been approaching, especially last week, and I think it's kind of changed a lot with the return of Brian Robinson Jr. And I know he wasn't feeling entirely healthy when he first came back, but you're starting to see him find his groove a little bit. Did you like the way that they committed to the run last week?
I absolutely love the way they committed to the run, and, you know, we had a chance to talk to Coach Rivera about that, and he said they had noticed some things in the analytics against Philadelphia and kind of the way that they were on third down and how their third down defensive efficiency really dropped below 3rd and 6. Say, hey, if we can run the football, we can get into some manageable third downs, we can do pretty good. And, of course, ended up, 9 of 12 in that first half. So I thought that was a huge part of it. Obviously end up with 40 minutes of possession in that game. And they don't have to be big chunk runs. And there weren't really any. I think it was 11 yards was like the longest run. But the linemen love it. Obviously, the backs love it. And the defense loves it, too, because they get a little bit of a rest.
The linemen do appreciate running the ball. It's something they take great pride in. And there were so many times we saw that, like, it was just, just to move the pile. It was sure power, will, determination, the linemen kind of pushing them on through. Now, will you get 49 carries every single game? It depends. But that was something that they saw. If there was a weakness in Philadelphia, it was that you could run on them. Now, certainly we're going up against a team that a weakness for them would be you can run on them. They give up 181 on average. Do you anticipate the same kind of key to success for Washington? Do you anticipate the same
absolutely.
kind of
I think you have to come out and you have to try and run the ball. And, and speaking to the Texans, Jerry Hughes has been around, I think it's 13th, 14th year. And he said, look, teams are going to keep running on us until we prove that we can stop it, right? And I certainly expect Washington to come out and try and run the ball today. And why not? And, you mentioned it, Brian Robinson just kind of getting into his groove, I think. And I think, a couple plays, even one of the plays last week, Coach Rivera was talking about with us. And I think a play a couple weeks before that, he's getting close to breaking one. So it'd be interesting to see today if he's able to get that long one going.
They say that no player, especially at this point in the season, the midway mark, is completely ever 1%, 100% healthy. And I know he's still trying to work back from injury as well and to feel confident in his running. But certainly all the carries he got last week, his body might have a little wear and tear on it. But we'll see how they decide to approach that today, also with Antonio Gibson. But Washington's really kind of turned the corner here. They started 1-4, and it seemed really dire. But since then, they've gone 4-5. What have you noticed to be the big difference?
Well, I think defensively has been a huge difference. The first 5 games, they were in the bottom 5 in total defense. Last 5 games, top 5 total defense. So that's been huge for them. And obviously the difference in moving to Taylor, he's turned the ball over less. He's taken care of the ball better than Carson did. So that's a big difference. Of course, the run game has really come along. So I think those are the biggest differences. But, you talk to Coach Rivera and you hear him in his press conferences, not worried about the long view, right? It's one game season all the time. And I think that's the important thing. And, he mentioned this earlier in the week as well. Everybody was disrespecting the Commanders going into the Philadelphia game, right? It's the exact same situation this week. So you come on a short week against a team that seems to be overmatched on paper. You got to show up with your best stuff. It's a National Football League. Everybody has good players.
I always hear that the team with just one win is one of the scariest teams to go up against.
Nothing to lose.
As well.
Nothing to lose.
So hopefully this will be tightly contested. And look, in 6 of their 9 games, it's been decided by 1 score or less. So Houston has been in there. They've just had a challenge kind of closing out games, especially when they get to the 4th quarter. One of the reasons that they have struggled is they're not being able to protect the quarterback, especially the interior of that offensive line. And it's coming this week. Daron Payne.
Allen and Payne.
John Allen. What kind of a day can they have?
Well, I mean, that's it. If you're Houston, you want to get the ball away from those guys, right? And obviously, the problem with Smith Williams and Sweat. You've got really good edge players as well, but you want to try and get the ball to the perimeter, I think, and get it away from those guys. But you've got it back like Dameon Pierce, who's one of the best in the league in yards after contact. You got to try and feed him as well.
I think Washington is actually one of the best on tackling once they get the ball. I think it's like 0.65 yards that running backs are able to gain on the ground before they are tackled. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those wins out here today. That's, it's the game of chess and matchup to see who gets that. But look, Houston has been in games. They have played very competitive football. How close are they to kind of like turning that corner as Washington did about 5 games ago?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, on the offensive side of the ball, getting Nico Collins back. He was out for some games, getting him back and healthy. Jordan Akins, their tight end, big tight end, number 88. He's a great athlete, and he's really starting to emerge. He's actually was in the Rangers farm system as a baseball player, so a good all-around athlete, has an amazing catch radius. And Davis Mills, and talking to Pep Hamilton, the offensive coordinator for Houston, he said, look, he just needs rounds in the ring, right? This is a guy that only had 14 games in college football. This is his second year starting, so he just needs more time. So protection, of course, number one, good decision-making. They haven't been very good in the turnover ratio this year, so they've got to find a way to protect the football. And I think for Davis Mills, understand where you just have to live to fight another play. Don't get greedy. Understand that sometimes taking a sack is better than forcing a ball and getting an interception.
Oh, that's hard to say sometimes. But, look, this team is close. We feel that they're close, but they haven't been able to close it out, hopefully for Washington. This is not the day that they figure that one out, right? I can say that. I can root for the home team on this one. I understand you're going to be unbiased. Robert Smith calling the game on Fox today. So much. Thank you for stopping by.
Oh,
appreciate
absolutely.
It. All right, when we come back here, London Fletcher will be joining me as well, and we have some great conversations. I have Joey Sly and, of course, head coach Ron Rivera, so keep it with us here as we take you up to kickoff. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
Dude, fire. Grill master, huh?
Burgers, better with Pepsi.
They say less is more, but we believe more is more. That's why we built our sportsbook app for Maryland with more. More ways to bet. More ways to fund your account. More ways to cash in. And more ways to cash out. With payouts delivered straight to your bank account in as little as 2 hours. You want more, Maryland? You got it. FanDuel is coming to Maryland. Right now, get $100 in free bets just for signing up.
To build the all-new Honda CR-V Hybrid, we took everything you love about the CR-V and kicked it up a notch with excellent fuel efficiency and clear power for a CR-V unlike any before. Adventure confidently with the most fuel-efficient full-line automaker in America. The all-new CR-V and CR-V Hybrid, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy 1 large pizza and get a second large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
Now, you had an interception in college. I think it went for, 75 yards? Yeah. You know which one I'm talking about?
I know exactly
repaint that picture for the people that didn't see it.
Tell
me a little bit about it.
We was playing Tennessee.
I hate them I hate them hound dogs, man. I hate
but
them
at the same time, it's the best feeling in the world where you get a pick six inside of their stadium. I definitely can remember a little bit on that one. That was a whole lot dealing with film as well. So leading up to the game, it was just one of those things we just was trying to do as much as we can to just slow Jarrett Garantano down. And we just was looking at how he just progressed his game throughout the years and whatnot. And I remember going into it, I was like, man, I seen this look all week in practice, and I know it's coming, but I'm like, it can't be that easy.
But it's tight end or wide receiver? Receiver. All right.
I don't call names, but I just was like,
go let him know. Hey, I throw shade all the time.
That ain't my game, man. I just play ball. But, I got back in my drop, and I'm already a little tired. I'm a little winded and whatnot. But I got in my drop, and I seen the ball. I'm like, man, he really threw this. All right, well, let's show him who Jamin Davis is.
Yeah.
So, caught the ball, and I just got rolling. I'm damn near out there jogging for real. And I'm like, man, I'm tired, but I'm about to go ahead and get this pick six. And I got there and get to the sideline. I'm lightheaded as I don't know what.
Yeah.
Man. I'm just like.
And knowing you got to go back out there.
And I got to go back out there the next
Was
time.
that your first touchdown since your offense? Didn't you play some offense in high school?
That
was your first one since then?
That was my first one since then.
So it felt good getting back in that zone, right?
It felt good, man. It was a blessing to get a taste of that end zone again, man. So.
We are getting set. Washington comes into this game at 5-5, but they can go above 500 for the first time since 2018. London Fletcher, you like being able to have a winning record, of course. I think they did start the season like 1-0, but we're talking about once you get a little bit further into the season. So I have our captain here with me today. Let me ask you about Monday night. What about that win were you most impressed by? And don't say the locker room celebration. we know that was a good one. They deserved it. But as Coach Rivera says, you got to act like you've been there and you got to do it again.
You know, what most impressed me about that ball game was just the commitment to the run like Scott and the team had. And it's hard to do that when you're only getting, sometimes you're getting 2 yards a carry, 3 yards a carry. And the commitment to running the football the way they did. I've told people that was the most beautiful game I've seen in a long time. And it wasn't because it was a bunch of splashy plays, but just the commitment. It reminded me of some old Hogs type of running with the Joe Gibbs era, and you're running the counter trays, and you're pulling all these different linemen. And, man, it was just 3 yards in the cloud. It does just a beautiful night. And obviously with the defense coming away with the 4 takeaways, man, that was extremely impressive. And then when you consider the team that they did it against.
A team that now has 1 loss on the season. Look, there's been a lot of attention lately saying that teams are starting to focus more on the run like they did during the Joe Gibbs era. Lovie Smith, the head coach for the Texans, said he's always been a run-first mentality, and there are certain coaches that take that approach no matter what the trend or hot trend may be in the NFL. He believes in running the ball. They have Dameon Pierce who will run it very well on you, but they also give up a lot of yards on the ground game as well. Defensively, I'm curious your take because that's got to wear a defender out when that is how the offense is attacking you.
Absolutely. There's nothing more demoralizing than a team continuing to run the football on you and you can't stop it. And that's something that the Texans have struggled with as far as stopping the run. And a lot of it has been them missing tackles. They've had guys in position to make the tackles. They've missed a ton of tackles, and guys have been able to or teams have been able to run the football consistently against them. But I tell you what, I've been on a couple of defenses where there's nothing you can do to stop the run. You got 8, 9, 10-man boxes, and they're still running the football on you. That's a demoralizing feeling.
Especially when the offense is on the field for over 40 minutes. The defense is gassed at that point. So we'll see what offensive coordinator Scott Turner decides to do with his game plan in this game coming up. If we do talk defensively, John Allen, Daron Payne, my goodness, they are leading the NFL in tackles for loss with 11 and 10 respectively. What are you seeing from this duo that seems to be, look, they've always been dominant players, but this year seems to be a little bit different for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you go back all the way to training camp, and it was just a commitment. We know John had a great year, Pro Bowl year a season ago, but he's playing even better this year. I'm playing at an all-pro level. And then with Daron, you can see his, ability to rush the passer now, really taking a step there. They're extremely disruptive as a defensive tackle duo. I think the best in the National Football League, those two guys, when they're on top of their game, they're unblockable. And that's why you see them leading the National Football League in tackles for loss, getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, really forcing offenses to game plan for these guys and figure out how can we get this front block.
It's going to be a challenge for the Texans today because their offensive line, especially on the interior, the center, they have really struggled to protect the quarterback, to be able to stop anything. So it should be a good day for Payne and Allen. But let's throw Montez Sweat into that mix. He may not have all the sacks to show the work that he is doing, but he is one of the best at putting quarterback hits on there, 20 on the season. That is second best in the NFL, only behind Nick Bosa. Are we kind of overlooking at all the play from him because he doesn't have necessarily all the sexy sack numbers?
Absolutely. And you probably heard this from a lot of people, a lot of fans or whatever, saying, hey, Sweat's not playing that well because he doesn't have the sack numbers. But when you really peel back everything and see how much pressure he's putting on the quarterback, and he's been consistently getting pressure on the quarterback and getting hits and knockdowns and things like that, the more times you can hit the quarterback, and he's been close to, on a lot of occasions, to coming up with the sack, and maybe the quarterback is just getting ready the football, forcing the quarterback to throw before he's ready. He's definitely impacting the ball game and having a better season than the sack numbers would dictate.
An interesting move here as well that the defensive coordinator and Ron Rivera have wanting to do. Bobby McCain is going to be Washington's nickel cornerback moving forward. Reason being, they want the best run-fitting safeties, Bobby McCain, Cam Curl, and Derek Forrest on the field at the same time. Why?
Well, if you think back, you know, McCain has been the starting nickel the last 2 ball games.
Right.
He's played outstanding. The last 2 games, you've seen him thrive. I think he had 8 tackles, I believe, against the Vikings and did a great job last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. When teams try to run the football, he has this unique ability to be able to avoid blocks and get into there, make tackles. When we're going to play, you know, teams, especially like the Houston Texans, they want to get you in sub personnel and run the ball against you. Well, you can't do it as effectively when you got a guy like Bobby McCain. It's just his savviness, his ability to play games with the quarterback. Hey, is he going to blitz or is he back in coverage? He has a unique ability to play games with the quarterback from that standpoint. So you want to get your best players on the field, and I love the versatility of those 3 safeties.
And I have to ask you about Jamin Davis as well. He had that green dot, and look, the way that they started this season, head coach Ron Rivera said defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio, really got on his you fill in the blank for that one, but it worked. What have you seen from Jamin?
Well, you know, when you look back to the exception of the first ball game, he didn't play great. But after that, I mean, just the continued growth and not only week to week, but in game, series to series, and making the adjustments that he needs to make. I've seen Jamin just grow tremendously as a linebacker, tremendously as a player. He was really raw when he came into this league, and you're starting to see him, you know, really get confidence and gain confidence in the ability to make plays. And, you know, each week he's making splash plays.
Look, he is fast. You can't teach that, but you can help them with quickness, which is by studying, knowing where to go so he can just quickly react, and we're seeing that from Jamin as of late. Okay, London Fletcher is on the call with us all season long. He'll also be back a little bit later in the show as well. But when we come back here, Chris Myers, he's on the call for today's game for Fox. He joins me next for a breakdown. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you are listening to Washington Commanders football. Time now for your fresh takes, brought to you by Safeway, the official supermarket of the Washington Commanders. Logan Paulson, Santana Moss, and this is a game that easily you might want to say, okay, they only have 1 win. This should be walk in the park for Washington, but not necessarily. They still have to go out, do their jobs, and make sure that they do not slip and fall to Houston. So what would be your fresh take for this one, Santana?
You know, Terry has been on a tear for the last few weeks, and I'm pretty sure that this Texans defense is going to have him circled all week long, so we can't allow this guy to beat us. So it's great to have Jahan Dotson back. I think he gets in the mix, and he gets back on his street with getting some touchdowns this week.
Yeah, I agree, and I think all the way they ran the football last week against Philadelphia, like they are going to sell out Houston Texans to stop the run, and that's going to lead to good play-pass opportunities. They like to play a lot of man. Jahan has been excellent against man-to-man coverage, so I think that really lends itself to that opportunity for sure.
And he has 4 receiving touchdowns, and he hasn't played a lot. Like, that's one of the best for all the rookies. So great to have him back out there. Need him back in the end zone as well. All right, how about for you?
For me, I'm really excited to watch Montez Sweat and Laramie Tunsil. I think that's the best individual matchup of any game this weekend, right? So one of the best left tackles in the NFL versus Montez Sweat, who's kind of emerging as an elite edge rusher. And I want to see what Montez looks like against maybe the 3rd or 2nd best tackle in the NFL behind Trent Williams. So really excited for that opportunity. And I just love big heavyweight matchups like that, so I can't wait to watch that.
And they give up a lot of sacks as well. So maybe this is the time where Montez can get out there because he's pressuring the quarterback, right? He is causing problems.
He's getting there.
But he doesn't have the sack numbers to necessarily show for it. So maybe this is the game where he gets to rack in a few.
I mean,
come in bunches, right?
Hope so, yeah.
That's what they always say. They come in bunches, turnovers in bunches. Those are your fresh takes.
From selecting the perfect produce and triple checking its quality to preparing it for you, we have perfected the art of fresh.
One bag.
The winter play was really coming together. Until disaster struck. tensions were high. Luckily, replacement costumes were shipped with FedEx, which means Mr. Harvey could picture the perfect night. We're ready for the holidays, so you're ready for what's next.
And we are brought to you by RTS, a better waste company. Find out more at RTS.com. Joining me now is Chris Myers. He is calling the game for Fox. It has actually got a few games for Washington so far this season. Thank you for giving us some of your time.
Yeah, Julie, good to see you. Good to be here and riding the wave. I'm not a bandwagon jumper here. I was here in the beginning and through a couple of the rough rides for this Washington team, but nice to see Taylor Heinicke and the team around him coming together.
Yeah, you talk about riding the wave. I think the fan base could definitely relate to that because it is just something you have to ride with each and every game. And a lot of times, especially with Taylor being the quarterback, the play that he does, I mean, it's some crazy waves throughout the game and emotions that you're going through. But they have been 4-5. They have been winning with him at the helm. What have you seen different?
Well, I mean, a couple of things. The numbers, and we put a graphic in our broadcaster, Will, later today, with him and Carson Wentz, passer rating, yardage, not all that different. Points are a little better, but what jumps out is the sacks. And Taylor Heinicke has a way of avoiding the sack, and so that changes everything on a drive. And again, not that that's all his fault, but the quarterback in that role, that just helps, along with, we talk about, and every analyst I've worked with, Julie, or somebody who's watched with this team, the energy he brings. In fact, even the defensive players that I talk to going into a game, they're like, whatever his skill set, we got to suffocate his energy because the rest of the team feeds off it, and you can see it happen, whether it's in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. He's led some comebacks. So, and yes, he's been, him and Scott Turner are our team, and I think the confidence has grown. Look, he had a job before, we remember that, and didn't hold on to it. Obviously, they went out and got Carson Wentz, but it's his job now, and I think around him, whatever the skill set is, they've rallied, whether it's defensively improving as well, and of course the run game team being a little bit healthier, the offensive line being more consistent.
Yeah, Taylor, if you talk to some of the playmakers that are in the huddle with him, they'll say it doesn't matter where we are in the game, what the call is. He believes that they're going to convert. And therefore, they believe that they have a chance. And he plays with that mindset, and it's very genuine. And I think that is something that's quite contagious to the rest of the guys on the field as they go, we're not out of this.
Yep.
And we've seen they're not necessarily out the way that Taylor plays.
Even when it seems, Julie, like it's like they're going into the Philadelphia game, you think, well, they can hang in there. Look what Houston is going through this. Even Taylor brought that up to us. He goes, I can relate to what they're going through. They're close, but they just, he does that. And I think it's caught and he did before when he first appeared in that playoff game with the Buccaneers, the national attention. That Monday night game, all of a sudden it's, well, they're not just around, the division's good, but this is a true playoff contender if Heinicke does what he does and the rest of the team is doing what they're doing. So I love, look, for all that this organization has been through, Ron Rivera, the great stabilizer we call him, and then Heinicke's a feel-good story. It's that America's underdog quarterback, and he really lives it. I love that mentality. If people use the cliche, you're only as good as your last show or your last play, but he does play, and you feel it, and I think you touched on it, the team that, I play every play as if it's my last one because I thought it was after I first got that shot in that playoff game.
It's pretty wild, just, the underdog, the Cinderella story that he is. I mean, he was the third-string quarterback, I think, in the XFL. And it's because Scott Turner gives him the chance that here he is leading this team to victory after victory. But what's it like calling a game with him? Because there's so many times we're in the booth and we're like, he's sacked. No, he's still up. He's sacked. No, he's sacked. He just eludes that rush. He finds ways to make plays. Very unpredictable. Goes off script. How is that for you when you're trying to call it?
Yeah, well, it's a wild ride, and we like it. So I'm not gonna say the play's over until it really is over or the game is over.
And there's sometimes too we're like, wait, did we hear? No no whistle. They're still going.
That's right.
Yeah.
And whether it's the kneel down against Philadelphia or the eyes closed against the Packers, which he completed.
A long
that
pause,
pass.
blink.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he's that adventurous. So he really is entertaining to watch. I love the line. Thomas Boswell, the writer, with I believe, I forget which paper, but he goes from moxie to poxy. I had to look up poxy because it means like, of less value or not as important or relevant. But he can, in one play, he can go from a hero to a GOAT or vice versa. And so it's fun. When we do these games, nationally, we're coming in, the fans know what they know about their team and they follow them daily and we're keeping track. But you get to talk to these guys about what makes them tick, and he's real. I think the team senses that about his comebacks or how hard he works at it. And he did the things in the offseason with a quarterback coach, improving footwork and other things. Now he has to take care of his body a little bit differently. So he's doing everything that he can do, and it's a fun story to watch. Everybody roots for an underdog. So
yeah, he walks around with 2-pound weights, and he would warm up because he wanted to try and increase his arm strength. And part of you might be like, okay, is that really going to be something that works? But he wanted to be able to connect with Terry McLaurin down the field, and they've now been able to do that. Maybe he's not going to be able to throw it 75 yards, but he does have the ability now to go further than he did last year. And Terry now is being a product of that.
Yeah, McLaurin told us, Julie, something really I hadn't thought about, but it makes sense. He said, asked about their connection. He said, yeah, we work at it. He said, but I've had more reps with Taylor Heinicke than any other quarterback in my career. And you go through and go, wow, there was this guy, that guy, even when Taylor was in and then he was out. So that helps two guys that really want to be great. And McLaurin, too, has the right kind of mentality to work with him. So that's a really fun combo. And he's not selfish when they are grinding the ball like they were, which I think we'll see today. We have two teams, by the way, that just both want to run the ball consistently. In fact, they were telling us they watched that Thursday night game when Houston ran successfully against the Eagles, and they saw some things and similarities. They said, we can do that, and they did it better and controlled that game. So I think we'll see a lot of running attempts until somebody stops it today.
That is a copycat league, and teams will take advantage of your weakness until you can prove otherwise. That's just what it goes down to. But if you're head coach Ron Rivera, what is it that concerns you about the Texans? Because it would be easy to look at their record and say they have one win and dismiss it and say, okay, like this should be a dominant performance.
Well, that was the message this week to the players, and they brought it up. It was, there's certain game plan things, but it's like do not overlook this team or it detracts from what we did on Monday night. And look, I mean, we're hopeful, but given the playoff, they're going to have Atlanta next week. They're in a battle for a wild card spot. Realistically, they can't afford a misstep. Washington, there's a little margin for error. So they just can't take them. It's a physical game. We saw what they did. They have to have that same mentality against an unbeaten Eagle team or a one-win, one-tie team like the Houston Texans.
Yeah, it's one thing you can never look past any team. And as defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio said, look, we've been disrespected so many times. Yep. We know what it feels like, so let's make sure that we give them respect. And a disrespected team is a very dangerous team as well.
Yeah, the defense has really played well, too. And we're showing a graph in this 4 wins out of 5, the takeaways that they weren't getting early that they're getting now. It makes a big difference for the offense and the rest of the team.
All right, Chris Myers. Pleasure.
Good
Finally making this happen.
All right.
Such an honor.
Enjoy the rest of the season.
Glad to have you here with us. So when we come back, though, we're going to get the voice of the Houston Texans, Mark Vandermeer. He's going to join us here. You are watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
They say less is more, but we believe more is more. That's why we built our Sportsbook app for Maryland with more ways to bet, more ways to fund your account, more ways to cash in, and more ways to cash out, with payouts delivered straight to your bank account in as little as 2 hours. You want more Maryland? You got it. FanDuel is coming to Maryland. Right now, get $100 in free bets just for signing up.
Toyota is the #1 selling retail brand in America, thanks to a steady supply of new vehicles, which means faster delivery to you. And now with special financing options. Choose an electrified 40 MPG RAV4 hybrid, right now with low 3.49% APR. Or take 3.49% financing on a 36 MPG Highlander hybrid. Visit your Toyota dealer and reserve yours today. Toyota, let's go places.
the first question.
Okay.
What NFL team have you scored the most touchdowns against in your career? And for a bonus, do you know how many touchdowns you've had against them?
Houston Texans.
Wrong.
What? Hold on. Whoa. What team did I score the most touchdowns from in my NFL career? Hold up. Arizona Cardinals.
Correct.
Who did you score your first career NFL receiving touchdown against?
Tampa Bay. Do you remember how much you benched? How many pounds you benched?
425 pounds.
More.
$435? $445.
Keep going.
$465.
Just below 460.
I did?
That's a house.
Dude, that's a lot of
That's
weight.
a house. Yeah, you're a freak.
I can't even bench press 225 right now.
Neither can I, but guess what?
And how about a deal for football season from Lido Pizza? Get an 18-inch two-topping Lido Pizza, 8 pieces of cheesy garlic bread, and a half-pound of boneless wings for only $36.99 plus tax. Joining me now is the voice for the Houston Texans, Mark Vandermeer, called every single snap since Houston in 2002. We're not counting the years up, though, are we?
I try not to, Julie.
Yes,
Okay, 2002. Although these two teams played each other in 2002, that was the first time up there. And guess how many attempts Washington had running the football? 46.
Oh, so close.
46, close to 49 like last week. And that was notable to me because that was one of the few games the Texans really got bludgeoned that year. They had a good defense in the inaugural season.
Well, 49 they just did against Philadelphia, and we know this Houston Texans team will let you run on them. Offensive coordinator Scott Turner says, I don't know that 49 is necessarily what you want every single game, but the magic number for Washington tends to be 28 attempts a game. They can get over 28. They usually have pretty much success. It tends to be a balanced game. But let me start on your side of the ball and your quarterback, Davis Mills, second-year QB. What is he doing well, and where is he struggling?
You know, he's really good pre-snap, and he's really good with the knowledge of the offense, Julie. I think he's made some really good plays from time to time this year. He just hasn't been able to win games. I know that sounds simplistic, but you'll see some moments where Mills will rip a throw. You'll think that's an NFL elite throw right there. That's an NFL elite play. But then there will be moments where there's pressure. I don't want to blame it all on him because I think they are challenged, especially up the middle, and facing two really good defensive tackles today again. It's been murderer's row for them. Last week they had Dexter Lawrence. They've had Jeffrey Simmons recently, Fletcher Cox a couple of weeks ago. It's been one after another. And those guys are getting pressure up the middle more than the edges. And that's been trouble for Mills. When a quarterback can't step into his throws, as you know, that makes it difficult. When he gets outside the pocket, he's pretty good. I want to see more of that. So far for Mills, he can do a lot of great things, but I don't think they've made up their minds yet that this is the guy for the future. He's still on a trial basis here this season, and it's not a luxury, but it's an opportunity for them to evaluate him during a campaign like this.
I imagine the evaluation is a bit of a challenge, though, because of what you just mentioned, especially how teams can get at him up in the middle.
Yeah.
There's not much pass protection. You know how much you can really evaluate a quarterback when they don't have time.
Right.
They're getting sacked. They're getting disrupted. They're getting off their rhythm. And we know it's going to be another challenge for him today with the rush that Washington has as well. Look, you have Dameon Pierce, a Florida Gator, but he is just really the main thing in the cog that goes on your offense.
Yeah, he's been wonderful. All right, he's an elite running back in this league already, and I want to see it continue, obviously. He's getting a lot of carries. That's one thing you have to watch. Now, they just acquired Eno Benjamin. He's not going to play today. He's on the inactive list, so that's a bit of an issue there because there hasn't really been anybody else to spell him effectively. Rex Burkhead is okay. He's made some plays, and he's the old man in the sea. You know, he's a 10-year veteran. He's really good in the locker room. The players love him. He does make some plays, but it's not like you can hand the ball to him 7 times and he's going to have the same kind of production or similar as Dameon Pierce, who is wonderful to be around as a human, outstanding personality, and he's broken more tackles than anybody else in this league. What you'd like to see is even better blocking so he doesn't have to do that as much, but he will make you feel it. You know, he'll be noticeable out here today. The thought last year, because they couldn't run the ball at all last year with Mills played a bunch, the thought was, hey, if you can run the ball at least a little bit, Mills in the passing game will be that much more effective. It hasn't really translated that way as they've been in every game into the fourth quarter, but the fourth quarter is their big bugaboo.
Yes, 6 of their 9 games have been lost by, 1 score. And it's just the ability to be able to close the game out. So Dameon Pierce, like top rookie running back, but not just for the rookies. I mean, he's 5th in the league with his rushing yards as well. So he'll be something Washington has to contend for. You did mention one of the inactives. Let's go ahead and get to our inactive report presented by Optima Health Plan, a health plan you can count on. For Washington, cornerback Rashad Wildgoose is not out there. Neither is David Mayo, Cole Holcomb, and guard Chris Paul. And as well, they placed J.D. McKissick and Amani Rogers on IR. So both of them are going to IR. And then for Houston, you have?
Well, we have, let's see, Brevin Jordan is out, which is a little bit of an upset because he's a second-year tight end. They drafted him for the University of Miami. He's made plays, but they've got a good tight end group that they like right now, so he's on the outside looking in. Amari Rogers, who they just acquired. Benjamin, we mentioned. Derek Stingley Jr., it's too bad because he hasn't allowed a touchdown yet. Rookie, number 3 pick overall. Neville Hewitt, the linebacker, he's a good tackler. He's been out for a bit. Thomas Booker, that's a bit of a surprise there on the D-line, another rookie from Stanford. And Austin Deculus, who's been inactive all year. He's an offensive lineman who they have high hopes for, but there's a numbers game there.
With Stingley Jr. being out, does that afford an opportunity for Washington to try to exploit that secondary with Terry, with Dotson, with Curtis?
You never know because the secondary's actually been pretty good, but Julie, they haven't been in a throwing game yet. They haven't been in a game where they have a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter and the other team has to throw. I want to see that kind of thing. I mean, I'd love to be up, but also because I think the pass rushers for the Texans, Jerry Hughes is having a nice year. You know, he's been in the league 100 years. He's got 8 sacks, and he's noticeable. They get into the backfield. And against Philly out here a couple of weeks ago, they were in the backfield a lot that night, but giving up the rushing yards, unable to convert themselves on third down, that was trouble. So, yeah, I think the secondary, it's been pretty solid for them, but they haven't been ultra-tested yet. I think Desmond King will be outside for them.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the 8 sacks for him. I think 2 more gets to his career high in a season of 10, and we're still early on in the season.
Yeah,
so
and
he's
the
fighting
Texans
his way to the QB.
haven't had double-digit sacks since 18 when Watt was here, so it'd be nice to see somebody get there.
All right, thank you so much, Mark Vandermeer. Look forward to
Thanks,
the call.
Julie.
His booth is right next to us here as well. So when we come back, though, you cannot overlook how valuable special teams is, especially in the kicking game. And on Monday night's win over the Eagles, Joey Sly, he kicked 2 over 50-yard field goals. Personal best, 58 and 55, piled up 14 points. I'm going to talk with the reigning NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, Joey Sly, next. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders Football.
Veterans, you may have earned a variety of VA benefits. Did you know VA can help you further your education and pursue professional training? The Home Loan Guarantee Program can help you buy, repair, or adapt a home. VA provides housing support if you find yourself homeless or at risk of homelessness. And don't forget world-class healthcare. Learn more about these and other VA benefits. Visit choose.va.gov.
To build the all-new Honda CR-V Hybrid, we took everything you love about the CR-V and kicked it up a notch with excellent fuel efficiency and rear power. For a CR-V unlike any before, adventure confidently with the most fuel-efficient full-line automaker in America. The all-new CR-V and CR-V Hybrid, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
With the Game of Life scratch-off from the Maryland Lottery, all roads lead to fun. Play the Game of Life scratch-off today and get your chance to win up to $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, what?
Boys, that's my right nipple.
I was about to say,
Trust.
this is not me.
And that is my armpit. Now, this is a true story. Okay, it's a true story.
Hey,
my wife and I, when we were in college. Okay, this is the craziest thing. So we fall asleep, snuggled up. She gets up, going to like her workouts or something like that, and I wake up and like my armpit hurts, like it's like tugging.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what in the hell is? And I reach in. Now, I don't know if you guys do this, but if there's like something, like you get something on your leg, like you like look at it, the first thing I do is like
smell it.
Yeah,
definitely. Definitely. Like, what is this?
So in my armpit, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'd like feel something squishy, and it was gum. She fell asleep with gum in her mouth and just like spit it into my armpit somehow, and it got tangled up. I had to cut it out.
And our pregame show is presented by the Washington Times, the exclusive reporting and proud partner of the Washington Commanders. Joey Sly had himself one heck of a game, connecting on a 59-yard field goal before the half in Philadelphia. He connected on 4 in that game, and that gave him some honors for NFC Special Teams Player of the Week and a conversation with myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now that you have time to kind of step back away from that game a little bit, like, how do you put all together? Nobody picked Washington to win in Philadelphia, to take down an undefeated team. It's a division game, and it was something that you guys believed in each other with.
I feel like you can just feel the energy around this team. I think it starts from Coach and Coach Rivera coming on down. We just have a belief in some of those things that we're doing now. We're running the ball really, really well, have a lot of trust and belief behind Taylor. And then for our close group with me, Cheese, and Tress, we have a lot of trust and respect for what we do and trying to go out and do it at a high level. So our special teams group flies around. Nate Katzer gives us a lot of energy to go out and just play hard, play tough, and putting all 3 of those kind of attributes together, I think we've been just rolling hot. So
you were a perfect 4 for 4 on the night in that game. What's kind of like the mindset for you when you have a game kind of like that, knowing each kick that comes up, they seem to get longer and longer each time as well, and understanding how important it is to be able to put points on the board?
In a game like that, the Philadelphia is a great team, and they have an opportunity to score with a lot of different ways, with Jalen, through their wide receivers, through their running game. So just being able to go out in every opportunity we have just to score points on every drive. There was a point in the game that I went and talked to Cheese. We hadn't punted since that first drive that we ended up getting a penalty. I know the fumble happened, but we hadn't punted, and so that's an opportunity for every single time we have the ball, we're putting points on the board, and it's imperative in a game like that we're scoring on every single drive that we have. So a couple times we stall out at some longer distances, and for us to be able to just put points on the board was huge.
We all love Tress Way, but we really don't want to see him have to work too much on game days.
No,
so at one point, I was like, I think he's only had one career game where he did not have a single punt. Granted, the first one officially was called back, whatever. Yeah. But he did get in there. But he's so vital to the special teams and to Iraq. What has it been like with the chemistry with you, kind of working in with him, bringing in Cheese as well, and where you guys feel with the trust that you say you have?
So a guy like Tress to head our special teams unit, I mean, he does a great job of taking what Nate, our special teams coordinator, gives us for info and all that stuff, but just holding our team to a standard that's just elite. Tress is one of the best in the league. He's one of the best to ever do it, and so for us to kind of just follow his lead and have him set the standard for us to reach for has been important for me, because I mean, every single game I'm like, I gotta play well, because we have a guy like that that's going to be, you know, one of the top to ever punt in this league. So he sets the standard, and then a guy like Cheese that came in when I got here last year, as a rookie, I thought Cheese was a great snapper, and to see the strides that he's made going into year 2, it has been incredible to see. I was able to bounce around a little bit the last couple of years and see some different guys around the league, and Cheese is up there as one of the best snappers I've ever worked with. So our group is meshing, we're clicking really well, and just hoping to kind of continue that through the rest of the year.
You get that 58-yard field goal before the half.
Yeah.
What are those conversations? Are you telling coach, okay, I know you go on the field before and you warm up and you test the distances. Are you going and saying, you know what, 50's it, 55? Or where is you that conversation and your mindset realizing it is 58, that's the best distance they could get you?
So when we're looking at pregame, I go through my normal routine. We hit some longer ones. I don't usually try to go back and just test my full distance just because I feel like there's sometimes I'll hit a ball from 55 that goes through about 10 yards, and I'm like, I don't need to back up to 65 and try it again. I know that where my distance is if I hit a good ball. I will say though that during this pregame, I hit one from 61 going that same way. I didn't hit it clean, but it was a little short, and so I knew around 60 probably going that way. The other way was probably going to be around 56 to 57. So we kind of have like an in-game distance, like when we're just kind of rolling through, it was more around like 53 both ways, and then at half we were looking at around 60 going that way, and then about 58 going the other way. But I know my leg strength. I know what I can usually get to, and most times when I'm swinging full. So for that kick, it was just kind of exhaust myself, just swing as hard as I can, and we'll get it there.
And Joey Slye is currently warming up right now. He's at the 50. So far, it looks good. Of course, he did have a little time with Houston as well. He appreciates the opportunity, gave him a little bit of an audition for Washington to sign him. When we come back, our captain, London Fletcher, will join me on how Washington can start aggressively throughout this game and close it out. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is Washington Commanders Football Radio Network. Time now for your keys to winning, brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do?
Logan Paulson and Santana Moss. Washington wants to put together a winning streak. Of course, a huge, fantastic win against the Philadelphia Eagles. What is the key to them doing that again here this weekend, Logan?
To me, it's coming out with the appropriate amount of energy. I think this Monday Night Football against Philadelphia, division rival, primetime game, it's easy to be up for that game. It's easy to put your best foot forward. It's easy to execute that game plan at a high level. This is a game in Houston against a team that's not very good, that's struggling. They're in the midst of a rebuild. Can you bring that same energy to this game? Because it is a must. You have to bring the same energy because you're not good enough, Tanner, quite frankly, to be consistently kind of playing lackluster football. They need to be their best. They need to beat this team. They need to show that they're a mature football team. That's what I think the key to victory is.
I think it's evident last Monday night, that all three phases showed up to the party. So it's going to be vital for these guys to play complementary football again, especially on the road. I keep harping on it about being on the road. When you're on the road, you got to be on your A game, regardless of the other team's record. So screw what they have when it comes to the win column and go out there and play some good football.
Yeah, because what they have in the win column is just one win, 1-7-1. But they've been pretty much in every single game that they have played. They've even been in the games tied or had a lead going into the fourth quarter only to squander it away. So you can't dismiss this team and how hard they do play, coached behind Lovie Smith. But it is an opportunity for Washington to get back in the win column. I like that, the balanced game. Offense, defense, special teams complement each other, and then we're talking about another winning streak for Washington.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to a close here after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
It's 4th down, seconds on the clock. He hands it off, finds a hole in the middle. Clear, nothing but Brian, move! A touchdown for the win. I can't believe it.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
To build the all-new Honda CR-V Hybrid, we took everything you love about the CR-V and kicked it up a notch with excellent fuel efficiency and clear power. For a CR-V unlike any before, adventure confidently with the most fuel-efficient full-line automaker in America, the all-new CR-V and CR-V Hybrid. part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Well, my baby doll gives me special love. It's the kind of stuff.
Honey, it's your turn.
I'm on cloud nine.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
We just saw a sweet moment here. Antonio Gibson going on over to the fans, holding a adorable little baby. We are presented by Chesapeake Employers Insurance Company, now with lower workers' comp rates and a corporate dividend. London Fletcher joining me here again. It's always great to be able to see players, be able to interact with families and such.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with the little kids when they actually hold their babies. I'm always nervous about, please don't drop this baby.
Because he had to step on top of a box to get up to the ledge to try and grab. And yes, but he's got pretty good hand. He's fine. But let's talk about what we do need to be concerned about outside of just making sure that there's the safe interaction between players and the fans. What do you need to be concerned about today with this Texans team?
Well, when you think about this Texans team, I played for their head coach, Lovie Smith. He was my defensive coordinator in St. Louis, and we went to the Super Bowl. One thing about him, it's a way of life. It's a mantra. It's their kind of what they do. Their credo is taking away the football. They're constantly harping on it. It's not like some people say they want to take away the football. It's their bread and butter. So we have to be conscious of protecting the football. That's my main concern, not giving them turnovers.
Defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio was asked a question this week saying, turnovers, it's better to be lucky than good. And he said, there's no such thing as luck in turnovers. But to the average viewer, you think, okay, they actually just got maybe a little bit of tip and it fell in the right way. The ball bounces one way or bounces the other. What would you attest for Washington's success, where they're now second best over the last 5-6 games ago in taking the ball away? What is that to if it's not to luck?
Well, I'd say the guys are playing extremely hard. You look at the takeaways they had against the Philadelphia Eagles. Those guys, they went out and made those takeaways. John Ridgeway knocking that ball out of the Dallas Goedert's hand. Defoe, that interception, a Willie Mays type of interception. There's nothing lucky about that. St. Jude's hustling and knocking the ball out of Quez Watkins' hand. Those are guys. There's nothing lucky about that. That's guys making a way. Continuing to fight, being in the right position, that puts you in position to possibly get takeaways and turnovers. So, I'm with the coach, Del Rio, in terms of there's nothing lucky about it. They're making things happen for themselves.
We do see them practicing, depending on where it is, individual drills, especially with the defensive line. You'll see Coach Z throwing a volleyball up and the guys trying to reach and hit it down. So it's something they do practice to be able to get that height, to be able to, try to take advantage of those opportunities should they be able to come. So not necessarily luck, but hard work. And then, of course, playing hard and being in the right spot to be able to convert on that play as well. Terry McLaurin, I want to ask you about him and the way that he connects with Taylor Heinicke. He has a 30% target rate with Heinicke, only 16% with Carson Wentz. And, of course, we've heard Taylor say that he's had more time with Heinicke, or Terry, he's had more time with Heinicke than any other quarterback. which is kind of wild out there to get that time with. What is it that you see, and especially if you're trying to defend against it, knowing that they have that connection?
Well, you mentioned it, just the connection, and also as Terry said, having more reps with him. And also what I like about what they've been doing lately with Terry is moving him around, putting him in the slot a little bit more, as opposed to just lining him up outside, and having a focus and conscious effort to get him the ball in a lot of different ways. But, there's defense is going to try to roll coverages to him to try to take him away, but then there's still some things where you can't take away everything, and Terry's going to win his fair share of routes, or matchups, I should say.
And, well, you do talk about routes. One of the routes that they say he's really good at is the slant. He said he used to hate it because in college he was just that deep guy, just like, let me run the post and get down there and take advantage of his speed. He goes, but because he's had such a rotation of quarterbacks, they haven't been able to take necessary advantage of that. And so he goes, in order to be effective, I had to learn how to run different routes and be able to fight for that ball and get just the 10 extra yards as opposed to that big one shot down the field. And it's working for them as well, certainly. Give us 2 or 3 players you think in this game that are going to have a primed for big games.
When I look at the matchup, and I'm not about being primed for a big game, I want to look at Charles Leno Jr. Going against their pass rusher who leads the National Football, or one of the best rushers in the National Football League. Rushing the passer, and I can't even think. Jerry Hughes, yes. he can rush the passer. So that
He's
matchup
got 8
right
sacks.
there. Yeah, that matchup right there. I think our safeties are going to play a huge role, whether it's Cam Curl, Forrest, or McCain, in stopping the run, because the Houston Texans, they're going to get in a lot of I formations, try to run the football, and those guys are going to be responsible in the corners with tackling this guy on the second level. So those are 2 guys that I look at or a few guys that I look at as having to have big games.
All right, we shall see. We are taking you all the way up until kickoff. And, of course, London will be with myself and Bram Weinstein, who joins me next on this show for the entire call. The team's out here. They are wearing the burgundy bottoms, the white jersey tops. We are showing you live looks into the team warming up. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders football.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy 1 large pizza and get a second large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
They say less is more, but we believe more is more. That's why we built our sportsbook app for Maryland with more. More ways to bet. More ways to fund your account. More ways to cash in. And more ways to cash out, with payouts delivered straight to your bank account in as little as 2 hours. You want more, Maryland? You got it. FanDuel is coming to Maryland. Right now, get $100 in free bets just for signing up.
To build the all-new Honda CR-V Hybrid, we took everything you love about the CR-V and kicked it up a notch with excellent fuel efficiency and greater power. For a CR-V unlike any before, adventure confidently with the most fuel-efficient full-line automaker in America. The all-new CR-V and CR-V Hybrid, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Dude, fire. Grill master, huh?
Burgers, better with Pepsi.
The NFL is full of talented players and coaches. And those that are disrespected are always scary because they all have talent. We all have talent. So we are going in looking for their best and preparing, respectful, because we know what it feels like to be disrespected. We were disrespected last week and have been quite a bit over the first start of this year. But it doesn't really matter because our focus is on our preparation. But I think the understanding, the respect for the game, and the coaches and the players that work so hard to prepare each week, it's legitimate.
On a short week,
guys are maybe a little sore. You can't have a letdown, you know what I mean? You can't come out flat. I think it's really important for the offense to have a good first drive. Obviously, defense continue to get the turnovers and capitalize on what they were doing last week. But I think you have letdowns when you don't come out with the same intensity and you just expect your momentum from the last game to carry into the next one. That's just not how it works.
It's a good football team. They're very fundamentally sound, and we can't take them lightly. You know, obviously that we had a huge game against the division opponent, undefeated, big win, and you know. The worst thing that we can do is go and lay an egg on Sunday. So again, we're just trying to keep the ball rolling, keep working hard, because again, you know, the next game is the most important game. So we got to put the Eagles in the rear view and get ready for the Texans. It's going to be a tough one.
Forced fumble and Derek Forrest's huge recovery from last Monday night's game is our intelligent play of the game. Presented by Fog Nigma. Command the cloud and dominate cyber operations with Fog Nigma. I love it when you see those guys come together forcing turnovers. It was something that was a knock against them, and now it is something that is working in their favor. Bram Weinstein joins me now. Bram, let's talk a little bit about the rest of the league, the NFC East. Let's start there with Philadelphia after they finally got their first loss of the season. Thank you very much to Washington for that. So they're in Indianapolis. Jeff Saturday was able to get his first win as the interim head coach last week. Philly is a 6-point favorite on the road. Do you see them bouncing back?
I do. I think their defense is going to bounce back. It's interesting how they responded to the 49-yard rush attempt by citing 2 defensive tackles the very next day, including Ndamukong Suh. I think that they still have one of the best teams in the NFC. I think this is an incredible win for Washington. I think it was a statement win for Washington. I think Philadelphia is going to make a statement today. That is a very unusual thing that Indianapolis did by changing coaches mid-season like that. It was, you know, incredible effort by them to win last week. I think they run into a buzzsaw today. I think Philadelphia bounces back.
Meanwhile, the Giants are the only team in NFL history to start the season 7-2 with every win coming by 1 score or less. Are they for real, or is this bubble going to pop soon?
We're going to find out in a few weeks, won't we?
When
we get them back-to-back, they won't be back-to-back for them. We got the bye week. They're going to play Philadelphia in between our 2 games. So we're going to find out pretty soon. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised the way things are going. If one of our 2 games isn't flexed into that Sunday night game with them, that's a possibility. I think that could happen. I've been waiting all year for this to kind of come back to earth. But, you know, not unlike what's happening here with Washington, where you can kind of sense the energy that's around them. I forgot who called Daniel Jones Vanilla Vic. You know, there's a lot of positivity that's kind of coming out from there. And today it's Detroit, and it's at home. So it's another game that looks like it's completely set up for them. That said, we saw Detroit. Detroit seemingly plays close with just about everybody, and who knows? I'm waiting for them to come back to earth, but maybe they won't.
Maybe not. Daniel Jones seems to be finding certain ways to just get people to say, okay, maybe the story's changing on him, get a few extra weapons, and it could be a different story for New York as well. Now, the big NFC showdown is Minnesota with the Cowboys and Vikings. Who is the playoff contender and the playoff pretender in this game?
Ooh, that's a good question. I am impressed with Minnesota after seeing them. I think that T.J. Hawkinson trade is going to end up being a very big deal in the NFC. I don't know why Detroit did that. I think Minnesota's offense, which was already good, exponentially better. This is an incredible matchup. I mean, Dallas brings heat. They get to every quarterback. They have very good corners. They're extremely aggressive. We know Kirk Cousins doesn't move particularly well, but then he just chucks it up, and Justin Jefferson might be the best receiver in the NFL. That's the matchup of the week, I think, Trayvon Diggs and Justin Jefferson this weekend. This is going to be a very, very, very interesting matchup, and obviously one we're watching really, really closely. I think at this juncture, we're rooting for the Vikings. I mean, we're trying to chase both of them, but we want Dallas to get a little bit closer to us so that game at the end of the year really means something.
And close out the season against the Cowboys. It's interesting because I feel like, Minnesota at times, despite their record, they feel a little disrespected with that record as well. But they're like, okay, let's keep it that way because maybe teams won't take us as seriously as we are here. How about today's game? What do you think is going to be the biggest matchup?
I think Washington controlling the Texans' run game is issue number one. don't discount their passing game. Davis Mills has 6 300-plus yard games. So he's got the arm, and he's got some decent talent out there. But I think controlling the line of scrimmage, and I think Washington's got to feel pretty confident about that coming into this. That they have the better of the two matchups. When you watch the Texans on film, you see their protection break down, especially in the center of the line. They'll probably say the same things here about Washington. I'll tell you the other part is, listen, everybody knows Texans defense is weak, stopping the run, and I would think that Washington will continue to do that. Where you can catch them is with some misdirection and in those intermediate routes. So I like Jahan Dotson today. I like Curtis Samuel today. I like Terry today. Don't think they're going to not throw the ball just because you think they can run the way they did against Philadelphia. I think they're going to take some shots. I think you're going to see some points from Washington today.
Okay. Is that also your fantasy? Do you have fantasy, guys?
So
I mean, you kind of feel like you gave them, but
I'm going to take a shot on Jahan today.
Okay.
Last week they got Brian Robinson going, I think purposefully, like wanted him to be part of this. Now that Jahan is back running full strength, why not get him going and dial up his number a couple of times? See if they can get him going. So I like Jahan Dotson today. And the other one, I'm not going to pick a Texan. Give me the Washington defense special teams today to put up a big outing against the Texans.
I like it. Your fantasy football report is presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partner of the Washington Commanders. All right, coming up, I am talking with the rookie running back, Brian Robinson Jr., but you are watching us on our social media platforms, including YouTube. By the way, my mom's watching. She's all in the chat. So if you're chatting with my mom, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining in and cheering us on. But everybody be nice. Be good with my mom. She's mom's, you know. Okay, folks, we have more to get to here. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms. And this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
Come on, Mr. Sanders. Focus.
Jamie Foxx, what's up, my man?
What up, Barry? Got time to chat bets?
Yeah.
All right, good. So we got Cincy over Cleveland, right?
Boom, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Now, parlay time. Would you put Miami in with L.A., Vegas, and Denver?
No. Terrible.
No? I was feeling that, though.
What did Jamie Foxx want?
Oh, I've got no idea. Come on, serve it up.
From selecting the perfect produce and triple checking its quality to preparing it for you, we have perfected the art of fresh.
One bag.
The winter play was really coming together. Until disaster struck. Tensions were high. Luckily, replacement costumes were shipped with FedEx, which means Mr. Harvey could picture the perfect night. We're ready for the holidays, so you're ready for what's next.
Time now to go around the league, delivered by FedEx, where now meets next. And we are presented by Victory Van Moving and Storage, delivering excellent services for 75 years and a proud partner of the Washington Commanders. So Brian Robinson Jr. has really been dynamic each and every game that he's been working his way back since he did join the team. Last week, he had an outstanding performance, and it helped Washington win the game with a total of 49 attempts. B-Rob, a big part of that. Here's my conversation with the rookie running back. All right, Brian, you're coming off a career-high 86 yards. How was that game for you?
It was very physical. You
Yeah.
know, career high carries, 26 carries. You know, first time getting that many carries in an NFL game. It was very physical. I think I could put up way more yards than 86 for 26 carries, but for the type of game that we had to play in the trenches with the Eagles, it was worth it, for real.
It's a lot of the situations. I know Coach
Yeah.
was saying the average per rush yards carry, it probably would have been higher, but they had you in, 3-1, 4-1 in times, and to be able to get that. But
Right.
was your mindset different going into that game, knowing that they came to you ahead of it and said, we're going to rely heavily on the run game?
Well, I did know that I was going to be counted on to carry the ball. I didn't really know how much. I just knew it was going to be in my hands. So, I just had to have it on my mind that I had to take it to them. That was just kind of our approach. I feel like we did a good job of, just staying consistent with the play calling. Just keeping the runs efficient. And by the end of the game, they was tired of it, for real.
You mentioned it was a pretty physical game. I mean, you were times where we thought you were down and you just kept moving that pile. Is that physical or is that mental when that happens?
A little bit of both, just because, when the opponent think you tired, that extra, want to move your feet, keep your feet pushing and stuff like that. Or when they think you're going to go down and you just keep moving, they don't really expect that all the time. That's just effort, it's mental and physical. You gotta want to do it, and you gotta do it. So.
There are a lot of times where, say, in the offensive line, I felt like that was right there pushing with you. What have you seen from that unit, and how much were they able to help you out?
Oh, I just seen that those guys, they feed off of energy, and I try to make sure I have the right energy when I come on the field with them, and they respond well to it. So I just try to make sure I come in there and I run the ball hard. I feel like they respond very well to. Just the physicality of the game, especially when they got running backs that'll come in and run the ball hard and, make the right run reads. So I feel like the line definitely responds well to just how we play.
That second career touchdown for you, it seemed like you were really aware of exactly where the goal line was, because otherwise you might have been short had you not stretched out for that. Taylor Heinicke was loving seeing you be able to do that as well. Where does that ball go? What is that moment for you?
That's another big moment for me. Just in in that moment, Monday night against the Eagles, big play in a big game. So, I just wanted to make a big play. I knew it was time. It was overdue at the time. So when I stretched the ball, I knew I had to continue forward progress so that the referee didn't blow the play dead before I had reached it. So. Once I realized that I had, had the forward progress that I needed, I just reached it.
What's it like being in that huddle with Heinicke?
Man, it's really exciting, to be honest, man. Heinicke got the energy that any football player would want in the huddle. Like, he had the energy that he want to win, that he gonna do what he got to do to help the team win, and you could just easily follow him. He's somebody you could easily follow. And, I really enjoy playing with him, honestly.
Coming up is Houston. This is a game that gives up the league worst in rushing yards, 181 average a game. When you hear that, what does it make you think on the potential of what you can do and the numbers you can put up in this game?
I just think, we need to, take the time to look at the film and just look at how we can attack them in the run game, and find the best runs that works for us and just go at them, it's up to us running backs to, make the run game work, us in the offensive line to make the run game work. And I feel like we keep, doing what we have been doing and continue to make progress. We'll run real well on them this week. Yep.
6 games in so far for you. How's the body feeling?
Just I play running back in this league, so You know, no running back in this league gonna feel healthy after one game. So, I mean, I feel like I've been playing ball.
Have you seen and felt your game kind of grow from where you started coming back, dealing with the injury, to the performance you just had?
Yes, I have. Just week by week, I feel like I take another step. You know, continue to just make progress. You know, week in and week out. Honestly, just the more I'm on the field and the more reps that I get in game, actually help me, you know, get that confidence back, get that feel back. So I feel like the more I'm on the field and the more reps I get over the weeks, the more, you know, I kind of get back to myself.
Then how is that when the rotation happens with AG?
I mean, it's pretty much the same, man. You know, I just, you know, we prepare to how we're going to rotate and which play is going to be called within the rotation. So we pretty much know what plays we're going to run. So, you know, we just got to prepare for that. Just already be expecting to rotate, be expecting to run a certain play, a certain amount of plays. We just got to be aware of just the game plan, honestly.
Brian Robinson should be poised and primed for a big game today as well, because Houston Texans, they give up 181 yards on average. Him and Antonio Gibson in the backfield. When we come back, we're going to talk with Fred Smoot about the aggressive safeties making a name for themselves around the league for the Commanders. That and Gabe Taylor, the brother of Sean Taylor. He goes to Rice here in Texas. He's a defensive back for them. He's going to be joining us as well. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders football.
With the Game of Life scratch-off from the Maryland Lottery, all roads lead to fun. Play the Game of Life scratch-off today and get your chance to win up to $1 million.
Toyota is the #1 selling retail brand in America, thanks to a steady supply of new vehicles, which means faster delivery to you. Choose a Tacoma right now with low 3.49% APR, or take 4.29% financing on the all-new Tundra. Or check out a 4Runner with the best resale value of any off-road SUV for '22, according to Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com. Visit your Toyota dealer and reserve yours today. Toyota, let's go places.
Who is the most famous person in your contacts?
Oh, I got Yo Gotti.
Call him.
He's not going to answer.
Let's just see what happens.
I'm not calling Yo Gotti.
Who is the most famous person in your contacts?
I think I do have Cooper Kupp's contact.
FaceTime him. Come on, just give him a call.
Nah, I don't know him like that.
People's champ, DMV's hero. Who is the most famous person in your contacts?
I mean, I got Mark Wahlberg number.
Give him a call.
Yo, what's up, baby? Yeah, what up with it?
Chase Young has Mark Wahlberg on the phone.
Ain't nothing. How you feeling? You feeling good?
Carson, he answered the phone. He called him, and Mark Wahlberg.
Chase Young. Hey, how you got Mark Wahlberg?
He answered the
What
phone.
kind of party were y'all at?
Who is the most famous contact in your phone?
Quavo.
Quavo. FaceTime him.
No.
Chase just FaceTime Mark Wahlberg, and
That's
I mean,
Chase Young. Pain.
who is the most famous person in your contacts? KD?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, FaceTime him.
FaceTime him?
Yeah.
He probably at practice or something.
Let's just see.
Nah, bro.
Who's the most famous person you have in your contacts?
Derrick Henry.
Can you FaceTime him right now?
What we doing? Man, where is this number in my phone? Can't even find his contact.
Luke Bryan.
Will you call him right now?
What?
Can you FaceTime him?
No.
Who's the most famous person you have in your contacts?
Jimmy Johnson. Come on, man. The greatest driver to do it, man. You think, okay, all right. Want.
And we are presented by Victory Van Moving and Storage, delivering excellent services for 75 years and a proud partner of the Washington Commanders. Joining us now from our studios back in Ashburn, Virginia is Fred Smoot, of course, one of the great DBs that played for Washington. And joining me here in Houston on the sidelines is Gabe Taylor, a DB for Rice and the brother of Sean Taylor. Thanks so much for joining us here, being able to catch the game here in Houston.
That's good for the culture, community, and the team.
Yeah, glad to have you again. And so, of course, Fred, I want to bring you on in. And I was just telling Gabe, I said in my office, it's a true honor. Every day I sit down, I have a picture of the 10th man hanging up there to remind me just how special your brother was, how much he meant to this franchise and his play. And we still have so many players, and Fred will attest to this today as well, that will always say they model their games after your brother. You're a DB as well. Do you do the same?
Always, man. If you can be like Sean, do half the things he did, it's enough. So I try to do something, make the players feel me on the field, and I just try to play my hardest out.
Yeah. Fred?
Thank you.
I've been watching you down there at Rice. I got to say this, congratulations. I heard you got your first house call. I know how that feels for a DB. Tell us how it feels for you to get your first touchdown, because your brother loved the end zone and he stayed in the end zone.
Man, high school, I was in the end zone so many times I couldn't count. But college, I probably had 5 picks in my career, and my first one's this year. I've been trying to get to the house so many times, man, but it felt good. I had to drop to my knees and just thank God I did.
Most definitely. And just tell us, since you're down there on the field, you're down there with the team, how surreal is it down there with Julie right now? Just watching the guys, because I know you're sizing them up. I know you're looking at Cam Curl. I know you're looking at Depot saying, you know what? I'm the same size as these guys. I can get out there. Tell me how it feels to really be out there right now.
It feels good. As a kid, I'll be on the field, just see the players and be like, man, they're big, but as right now, just looking at them, it's like, ain't nothing wrong with the size, man. It's all about the heart. It's all about the heart. It's all about the heart, man.
Most definitely.
I know. Fred, look, he's been down here, and, the coaches, the players, the staff have all come over and wanted to say hi to you and just be able to share a moment with you. And I hope you feel the love from this Washington fan base and all that we want to do honoring your brother and putting 21 up. 26, where does that come from?
This is college number, so I wear that in college, and so this is my college number.
Okay, no better way to do it. We know you're making your brother proud. Thanks so much for joining us here. We wish you the best at Rice as well. Gabe Taylor joining us here. Enjoy the game.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Fred, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, Fred will be on the call after the game. Make sure you tune into that on our YouTube channel. But we are taking you all the way up to kickoff. And when we come back, it's my conversation with head coach Ron Rivera. You're watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms. And this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
It's fourth down, seconds on the clock. He hands it off, finds a hole in the middle. Clear, nothing but
Brian, move!
incredible. A touchdown for the win. I can't believe it.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
To build the all-new Honda CR-V Hybrid, we took everything you love about the CR-V and kicked it up a notch with excellent fuel efficiency and greater power. For a CR-V unlike any before, adventure confidently with the most fuel-efficient full-line automaker in America. The all-new CR-V and CR-V Hybrid, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
With the Game of Life scratch-off from the Maryland Lottery, all roads lead to fun. Play the Game of Life scratch-off today and get your chance to win up to $1 million.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy 1 large pizza and get a 2nd large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
I heard you a fan of cars going in a circle at 200 miles per hour.
I love it.
How did you fall in love with NASCAR?
That's crazy because, like, all the way back to my childhood days, I just was hooked on racing, man. Formula One, MotoGP, NASCAR,
so it's all of
everything.
Yeah.
I just was hooked on it. And then NASCAR, it got to the point where I was just watching it religiously every Sunday, almost just like with football.
Yeah.
So, my little brother was a Jeff Gordon fan. My sister was into it as well with Dale Jr. So I was
I'm a Dale Jr. guy myself.
I'm a big Jimmy Johnson fan for the win.
Jimmy, you guy.
Jimmy is my guy for sure. I got to go back down to the Daytona 500 to watch him this year. Well, this upcoming 500. So, but yeah, man, I got into it, and ever since then I always was keeping up with the racing and just.
I actually got a chance to go to Monaco and watch the Formula One when they shut the whole city down.
Yeah.
It's no experience in the world like that.
That's actually on my bucket list.
You got to go check that one out. Monaco.
All right, welcome back to NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. We're nearing kickoff here. 5-5 Washington taking on 1-7-1 the Houston Texans. Washington got a marquee win on Monday night up in Philadelphia, knocked off the previously unbeaten Philadelphia Eagles to even their record to 5-5 and make some December football meaningful here, especially if they can get over 500. And it would be the first time that they have done that this late in the season since 2018 with a win today. Ron Rivera, though, wants his team to stay level-headed. Announced they have not arrived after the win in Philadelphia, and earlier this week spoke with Julie Donaldson.
You have to win the first one to be able to put together that streak together. And, man, it was a big one on Monday night. How do you temper? Because we talk about not getting too high or too low. How do you temper? Because the team was pretty high after that one to manage knowing that there's still another game ahead.
Absolutely. And that's probably the best thing that happened to us. We were able to bring him back as quickly as possible yesterday. Yesterday, I should say on Wednesday. What we did really was we tried to get the guys refocused and understand that we're going to play against a Texan team that is very well coached. They're very disciplined, and they're going to play that way. And so what we have to do is we got to get past it and understand that, hey, what we did on Monday doesn't matter. It's all about what we do on Sunday.
It's a shorter week, and I know the players are always talking about one of the biggest challenges getting their bodies right and their minds. But how much easier is that, Coach, for you trying to say, okay, guys, we got to go back out there. We've got to put another good work of practice coming off a win like you had?
Well, it was easy because, one of the things that we tried to be was very aware of it. So we gave them all a Tuesday off. Then we didn't bring them in until 1 o'clock on Wednesday. So we gave them a little extra time. And then we did a walkthrough that afternoon. And then we went into regular week practices of Thursday and Friday. So to me, the really key practice was Friday, and I really liked what we did on Friday.
You talk about Houston saying that they are very well coached. They do only have one win to testify for that. However, in the games that they have played, a lot of them are determined by one score. Yep. So they're tightly contested games. Is there ever, do you worry about your team going in thinking we use the word trap game all the time. Do you go in worrying about them saying, okay, we just took down Goliath and this should be an easy out?
Right, and the truth is there really is no easy out in the NFL, and that's what we've got to make sure guys understand. So going to this game, it's all about what they've done too. I mean, they have had a lot of close games. They've played one-score games. They've played very physical. They run the ball well. And again, based on what we did against Philadelphia, if you run the ball, you can keep the opponent's offense off the field.
So let's talk about the defense and what the performance they were able to do. We've really seen this defense kind of grow together, especially from the start of the season. What do you think you can attest that to?
Well, I think, first of all, is these guys have been working together. And it really started, as far as I'm concerned, with OTAs and minicamp, because you could see it. You could see the energy level these guys were practicing with. They were growing and learning. Get into training camp, and you could start to see the young guys, the Derek Forrests, the Cam Curls, Jamin Davis, Benjamin St. Juice. You saw those guys really start to just develop and grow, and just had a feeling that it's just a matter of time. And so it's kind of come together. I think Jack and his staff have done a really nice job, especially in light of the injuries, coming up with some of the different personnel groupings that we've used. We've used everything from three down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 6 DBs, 5 down linemen, 1 linebacker. I mean, so they've been very creative getting guys on the field.
They've been pretty stout against the run. We said that's one of the strengths that Houston would have, a good running rookie back in Dameon Pierce. So we'll see if you can't limit them in that area. But offensively, what is it that Taylor Heinicke and the play calling is able to do, especially in that game, to sustain drives, to keep the offense off the field? Why was there so much success?
Well, I think it starts up front. I think our guys up front are really built to run the ball. I mean, they're big physical guys. They play well downhill. And again, if you can average 4 yards a carry, you put yourself in a lot of 3rd and shorts, which we did. In fact, I think there was something like we were in 9 3rd and 1s. And so that gives you an opportunity to convert. And that's what happened. We had those short yardages that we had to go for. We were able to convert and convert consistently.
And this team will allow you to run the ball. They give up the league worst, 181 rushing yards a game. So maybe another big day for Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. Chase Young back at practice. Excited to see him potentially get out there?
Yes, I am. He's done a nice job. His rehab's been going very well. But we'll see. We'll see come game time.
And we are brought to you by Window Nation. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and pay nothing until 2025. Visit windownation.com. Kickoff is nearing here in Houston as Washington aims to get to 6-5 with 2 in a row. Thanks to everybody that joined us on our social media platforms on Command Center Game Day Live. We say goodbye to you, of course. We'll be back on YouTube following the game with Fred Smoot and Scott Jackson. You can continue to listen to us on Big 100. You're listening to Washington Commanders football.
Hey, no matter who we play, no matter where we play, we do the same thing week in and week out. Last week was straight. You know what I'm saying? We got something better for them this week. Last week was just the start of what we're going to do and the kind of team we're going to be. Week in and week out, we rise to the occasion and we fall back on our training. We play disciplined football. We put our foot on people's neck. We don't let it go. When you go out there today, remember your assignment. Remember what you do and how you do it. It's not about what you do. It's about how you do it. And we're going to be physical today. Remember that, y'all. Hey, we play together, we stay together. We're going to have some fun and we're going to win together. Bring it up. Hey. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3. Go.